Deba, thanks for being here with us today. We are doing a new series at Safari where we showcase the different companies that are making revenue in the space. Not something, there's a lot of focus on mindshare in crypto, which is all well and good, but as we know from company building today, mindshare only matters insofar as it leads to market share and to revenue and to building a sustainable company. And so, with that, we want to showcase more companies that are starting to make revenue and explore what that means. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive in?
Sure. I think if I had to just start in terms of where my journey started with KGen, it's pretty recent. It's been about 18 months so far. And I think I came in here because honestly, coming in here was also coming into the Web3 world because I was kind of fascinated by the idea of decentralization, which kind of upends the way systems, be it capital markets, be it governments, be it societies, have been running for centuries, right? And we've seen the flip side of having very centralized and controlled systems, where after a point, the power of a few completely overrule the feelings and the wishes of the many. And so, yeah, it came from that idealistic beginning. And I think while I was studying blockchain a bit, because I don't come from a tech background, but I studied Solidity just to understand the technology and all. And I think after a point, it was like, hey, how do we make it real? So let's get in there, get on the streets, and start working on something. Prior to that, I used to run a global ad agency for India called DDB. I was the national creative director. And before that, I was part of the founding leadership team of one of Asia's biggest OTT services called Hotstar, which was eventually acquired by Disney. Prior to that, I used to head brand and design for India's biggest television network company, which was part of the Global Fox Group. And before that, I was a photographer and a filmmaker. So I've been around, and the interesting thing has been that I've seen the pre-internet era, I have seen the Web 2 era, and I'm now embracing the Web 3 era. And it's really, really exciting because we are probably at the prenatal stage of what Web3 can eventually be. It's almost like where internet was in 1997, 98, right? And when you're in the origin stage, there's a lot more room to experiment, play around, and try different things. And that's what I think I enjoy. So, yeah, that's a small monologue about what I've done and where I'm from. Yeah.
That's awesome. And can you tell us, give us the sort of like simplest explanation of what KGen does today?
Okay, so I'm going to give you the answer. I'm going to give you two answers, and you can choose which one you would like to share. I think KGen fundamentally is a verified distribution protocol that drives engagement and commerce between users and different kinds of businesses. Could be DeFi, AI, gaming, and general consumer apps using our on chain reputation framework. So that's one way of putting it. But if verified distribution protocol feels a little lofty, the other way of saying it is that we are trying to essentially create a deep distribution moat using our on-chain verified user reputation system. So that's how I would put it very simply.
And what does a deep distribution moat entail, and how does that stem from identity?
Oh, okay. So what we do is because we have our own platform, we have a we have a lot of user data. In a way, what's happening is that so imagine it's a platform where you have businesses and people, and we are connecting them. Now, it could be for user acquisition, it could be for AI model training, it could be for any kind of a thing, right? So that's why we do not call it a user acquisition platform, but we call it a engagement platform. We did start as a user acquisition, but we have evolved over a period of time. How do we make it very effective? Because we have first party data and we have our own algorithms, bases the distribution, we take that distribution and make it into an actionable data. It's a smart data because we have enough information about each person, which allows us to create a reputation for every user in our network. And that reputation, we believe, as against what happened in Web 2, we believe is belongs to the user. So it's on chain. The user owns it and decides when and where to leverage it. We have given them the freedom to even port that data and take it with them if they want to leave our ecosystem. But that is essentially the reputation. So effectively, it's like we are profiling you And basis that profiling, we can do the right kind of audience targeting or create cohorts that actually benefit businesses. And because it's Web3, blockchain, there is ZK technology, there are other ways of ensuring that your privacy is not compromised. It kind of brings a lot of trust amongst the users. And via putting everything on chain, we bring in a lot of transparency for the businesses so that they do not feel that they've been taken for a ride or they are putting their money into a black box and don't know where it's going. So that's what it is. I mean, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right.
That's very helpful in terms of understanding that the problem that you're solving. How exactly does your business make money today?
So essentially, the way we make money today is basically through the businesses that come to our platform to access our reputation system of users. So those could be campaigns that the businesses want to learn, sort of run on our platform. It could be a game publisher who wants to run a campaign. It could be a DeFi protocol who wants to run a campaign and thereby to use our platform services. They end up paying us the money. So it's essentially the businesses who are paying the money. And the part of that money becomes the reward pool for the users, where they also benefit for the time and effort that they're putting into the platform or for that business, right? So that's one part, I would say. The other part is through B2B data contracts, where and this is a recent development over the last few months where a lot of companies are approaching our massive community from all over the world to essentially get very niche or bespoke training for the AI models. So that's another case. So on one hand, it could be user acquisition. On another hand, it could be data training. But in short, it's the businesses that are paying us, and that's how we make our revenue.
And which one of those is your primary revenue stream, and has that evolved since you launched? I know that you mentioned you started more in the user acquisition space, but now you're more in the user engagement.
Yeah. See, our journey began with it kind of began in January 2023, so it's about 2.5 years back, where we leveraged our, we call it the POGI, which is a proof of gamified engagement engine, essentially drive user acquisitions for a lot of gaming companies. So our journey did start as platform for game publishers to connect with gamers, right? And over a period of time, we started evolving into a commerce platform where we created our own store where these same gamers could go and get, I would say, a lot more attractive offers in terms of could be digital assets, be it vouchers, be it in-game skins, all kinds of things. So it became a sort of a flywheel where you could earn the money on a platform, and on the other hand, you could take that money and actually get better deals through our store. So that was the second bit, which we started bringing in middle of last year. So it'll be around July, August of 2024 that we started bringing in the digital goods sales through our store. And by the beginning of this year, around the March, we started getting a lot of requests for AI training and data sourcing for different kind of models.
And what types of companies are running those models?
Sorry.
What types of companies are running those models? Are these crypto companies that have certain, what are the sort of use cases of those that are want to run AI models that are paying you for those services?
I think so. Short answer, it's both crypto and non-crypto companies. So there are lots of AI developers today who build their products or their tools on top of foundational models, but they need to train it with very, very specialized data to sort of mold it in the way that they would like to sell their product. So that kind of training data and those that training data could be specialized things in terms of, say, for example, some model wants to train themselves with a chef's data in terms of different kinds of cooking menus from different parts of the world, which people do at home and not Michelin star chefs do. Or it could be around health in terms of different parts of the world, different companies or different people have different type of solutions in terms of, I would say, indigenous or naturopathy, where they have their own little ways of figuring out solutions for any kind of a health issue. So that could be one where you have specific cohort and you need specific skills. On the other hand, you also have opportunities where you need models to be trained in different languages, and so that it becomes a lot more, the adoption curve is much quicker, because you can essentially cater, the model can cater to people who are not necessarily native English speakers. So there are different kinds of things coming up. And I think that opportunity is really, really big, because this is just the start, right? As the reasoning models come in, as the model's requirement for more precision comes in, we feel there are going to be a lot more opportunities and a lot more use cases. And because we have a very active community team which has its own playbook to bring in people into our community, we feel that we are agile enough and quick on our feet in terms of addressing new requirements as well. People who may not be part of our community, but we have ways to reach out to them.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So, what would you estimate your revenue to be today on a monthly basis? Tell us about your journey to your first, whether it's 100,000 or a million in revenue.
Yeah, so I'll start with the journey. I think, when we began with our gamified user acquisition in Jan 2023, we probably hit our first million only last year. Feb- yeah, I think February or March of 2024 is when we hit 1 million. But I think you need that gestation phase to prove yourself, to convince partners that they're getting the right value. But once we hit that, after that, it's been a much quicker growth. I think and again, that time, that first million was, you can completely attribute it to our initial focus of being in the gaming industry, right? I think by um, August 2024, when we had the commerce part of our platform active, where people could actually buy digital goods on our platform, that is when we hit about, I would say, we hit around 2 million around that time, 1.5 to 2 million, because we realized that digital goods is something, and there are various reasons. The fact that you get it at an affordable price, the fact that you can actually access all kinds of assets. There, if you stick to the traditional internet industry, there are things which are geo blocked, or there are things which are restricted according to rules and regulations of different stores or different platforms. However, Web3 allows you to sort of democratize it and open it up for everyone. And we saw that really come to the fore during the digital goods introduction that we did in July and August 2024. I think by June of this year, we had hit about 2.5 to 3 million. That bump up came on the back of the new requirements and new projects and campaigns around AI training and AI model. And that is showing a lot of velocity now. By July, it has gone further up to about $4 million. So we are seeing a fairly quick, I would say, growth, both in terms of the requirements, in terms of the projects, and thereby the revenue. And we are hoping it'll sustain itself.
That is always the excitement and a hope for the possibilities. What
Yeah.
growth channels or strategies have driven most of your revenue at this point in time? Like, for example, would you say that this sort of AI training use case came more from, product positioning, being at the right place at the right time as a company, or through specific things that you feel like you did on the growth and marketing side in order to capture this revenue in this moment?
Okay. See, one of our, I would say okay, let's frame it in a different way. I would say we invested a lot of time in terms of building a massive community and going really, really deep into it. And that's why we call it a deep distribution mode, because we don't have just people and their phone numbers or their email IDs or their social logins. We have a lot more. So we could understand our audiences better, right? What it led to was a fair amount of loyalty and trust amongst our community members. And that led to a lot more, I would say, the quality of engagement basically went up because, you know, because we were not trying to pivot from one industry to the other industry to the third industry. We realized that industries will come and go, but every industry will need people. So if we can keep ourselves focused and stay true to that, I think the growth will automatically happen because at any given point of time, someone or the other needs people to be part of their system. Eventually, I would say the channel that really helped us was so apart from our reputation system, which is what I would attribute most of our growth to, I think it was also about, like you said, as new industries started coming in, I think we started productizing our offerings a lot strongly. And that is where the sheer scale of our community attracted a lot of the businesses to us. And by scale, I do not just mean, I would say, the width and depth, right? It wasn't just that, hey, we have whatever, 10 million people of the same kind. Not at all. The community is essentially extremely diverse. And I think that was the other thing that attracted a lot of business towards us. So I would say community and product were the core reasons that drove our growth more than standard marketing. Of course, we were marketing and we were constantly talking about our community. So that was just the, I would say, the catalyst or just the promotional vehicle, but the main focus was the community.
Makes sense. And how did you grow that community?
So our community, see, it's a flywheel, right? I think one of the fundamental rules that we learned about community, I think I would say two things. One, that community building is not an act, it is a habit, and you have to be at it all the time. It's not that you one day finish making the community and then you're just looking at figuring out your token strategy and going to everyone and raising funds or talking to exchanges saying this. It's an ongoing thing. I think the second part is who you get in first kind of decides who comes later. So I think when the team started late 2022 and early 2023, they were very, very focused in terms of getting extremely passionate and highly involved set of individuals into the community. The second part was we focused a lot on the global south because we felt there is a huge opportunity there. And there's a lot of appetite and hunger amongst the global south to try out new technologies, new platforms, new avenues to create alternate career paths because we know the challenges in global south. The population is high, opportunities may be limited in terms of formal systems that the governments are able to provide. So our community essentially started not just in India, South Asia, Southeast Asia, a lot in Latin America, then Africa, and over a period of time, it has moved to East Europe, Turkey, Russia. So, and a lot of that happened organically because there was a network effect and a flywheel that kicked in because the initial set of people felt good about being here. They felt that it was adding value in their lives. So I guess they spoke about it within their communities. So I think I would just attribute it to that.
That's awesome. And what would you say is the value that the community provides in their lives today?
Sorry, if you can come again.
You mentioned that people join the community because they feel like it added value in their lives. What would you say is the value that it added in their lives? Like, what's the reason why people join the community and stay in the community?
So when we started back in the day with gaming industry as our focus, one of the things that was really clear was that gaming as an industry and the millions of gamers who are there who actually invest a lot of time and effort into playing the games, at the end of the day, it is all passion. It's not a profession. It's a profession for a few top level esports players, right? When they came into our platform and they became part of the community, that was the first time. And these are young kids who are part of college, they have a lot of time and they play a lot of games. For the first time, they started making money became like, for some people, it's become a full-time career because they are all part of our community today, running their own clans. Clans are essentially like micro communities. And then for a lot of other people, it became a side income, right? So that was a very, very tangible thing. And that makes a huge difference in the global south, where suddenly when you're in a college and you're making the side income to indulge in your hobbies or even to support your family. That was one. And the second bit was that again it became again the very core of a community, right? What the very DNA of a community, that you have a shared interest and you're able to engage with people from all over the world and do things that you love doing, but you would have never done it with the people in your real life because there was no way for you to connect with them. So suddenly, as a gamer sitting out of Vietnam, you're playing with people in Brazil and you're all part of the same team and you all have the same goals. So I think these were the two things: one, getting rewarded and it becoming a way for you to make something tangible out of it, and second, having a shared sense of belonging with people from all over the world, right? We have met community members who live in small towns and they do not really have any social life. So their entire social life is through our Discord community and all. So I think these were the two things, if I had to put it simply, that kind of drove their sense of value and meaning.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense, and we're very aligned with that, having built Safari's community. Final question from me here is, what advice would you give teams looking to build sustainable revenue generating businesses in crypto?
I think there's certain things which are fundamental to blockchain technology. I tend to use that word more than crypto because crypto can easily be seen as the currency part of it. There are certain fundamental things in blockchain that really, really enable you to build a lot of trust. So, one, use that because no other technology really in the past had that opportunity. So, do that. I mean, make use of the most available thing. Yeah, be as transparent, and that's one way to build trust. Second, focus on high quality data. And by data, I don't mean just transaction data. By I'm saying just focus on quality in the beginning, because that's going to keep you in good stead for a very long time to come. If right from day one you're chasing vanity metrics, then you'll be able to stretch yourself. You'll only give yourself a certain runway. You'll not be able to really go further than that. Third, I would say think about revenue from day one as well. I think one of the fundamental mistakes we see many projects do is that they're busy chasing a community, a certain number to show, and the mindset is that we'll figure out the revenue once the community comes in. But there's a fundamental flaw, that there's a behavioral challenge there. If at the beginning you bring in a community with a certain behavior, right, which is not linked to your revenue generating model, and whatever, 6 months later, a year later, you ask them to change their behavior to suit your revenue generating model, it's not going to work. You will see a massive drop off. So do keep in mind a very revenue first approach. I wouldn't say revenue first approach, but let's just say a revenue centric approach when you start building your business, because it's very difficult to pivot at the later stage. I think that,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I
I think
completely agree.
this would
I
be the
think
point.
those are,
Sorry?
yeah, great. I think that that's all great advice for people. I think that not enough companies think about revenue from the start, and as you said, that creates complications later on that they have to entirely change the DNA of their company. So thanks so much for being on this, and excited to share your story with more people.
Thank you for having me here, Justin. Lovely
Of
chatting with
course.
you.